Welcome back to another video on the law of attraction. Now, in this video, I want to talk about the law of attraction and energy and what you need to understand about energy in order to be able to manifest whatever it is that you want, whether that is money or a relationship or good health. It doesn't really matter what you want to manifest. It's all about following the right rules and laws of the universe in order to be able to manifest the things that you want, to live the type of life that you actually want. Because a lot of people, I think, get caught up in the technique of the law of attraction. The technique, how can I draw that thing that I want into my life? Because they view themselves as separate from that one thing. And in actual reality, you are separate from that one thing. In this reality, in this 3D or third dimensional realm or world, you are experiencing that division between you and the thing that you want. So you need that technique, essentially, to be able to draw that thing into your life. But you need to understand the right rules and laws of the universe in order to make that happen. Because a lot of people get caught up with the right technique in the sense of, should I meditate? Should I visualize? Should I have a vision board? What should I do to bring that thing into my life? But you need to understand energy, because energy is the fundamental part of everything that we are experiencing, everything in the universe. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video that you've heard about energy and everything consisting of energy quite a few times before. But I want you to properly understand energy, what that actually means, because a lot of people will just say that energy is a vibration and everything consists of energy, and that you need to get onto the vibration or the frequency of the thing that you want. But then what does that really mean? Because if it was that easy, everybody would have done it, right? So in this explanation, I'm going to tell you exactly what is energy. So energy, I'm just going to start off with a basic explanation of energy, and then I'm going to go into detail on how that actually affects us, how we can, let's call it, manipulate that. But it's not as much manipulation as it is following the rules, adhering to the rules and the laws of the universe of energy in order to manifest. So everything, as you would have heard by now, that everything consists of energy. Now, if you take my hand consists of energy, and this hand consists of energy, right? But the empty space in between my hands consists of the exact same energy. That's the smallest particle of any object, any experience, anything that you can imagine in this universe consists of the exact same energy. It's just the way it's condensed and the frequency of that energy that's different. Now, this explanation might seem like the same as many other people, but just bear with me. So this means that my hands are essentially connected. Even though it might look like empty space, this is not empty space in the sense that it does not consist of energy. It consists of energy. So this hand is connected to this hand through the energy contained within this empty space. Now, the density of the energy of my hand is a little bit more than the empty space, but it's still connected. So whether I move my hand around, it doesn't matter. This hand is always connected to this hand. I'm connected to this camera, and I'm also connected to you. Everything in this universe is connected through waves of energy. So one wave of energy is connected to the next wave of energy. Think of a body of water. One droplet in this body of water is connected to another droplet through millions of other droplets of waters or molecules of water to another droplet 10,000 miles away, but it's always connected. Now, our hands, the objects that we observe, our emotions, everything is connected to one another through another wave of energy. You're connected to the wave of energy in front of you, behind you, above you, below, right, left. You're always connected to another particle or another wave of energy. So that's the first thing I want you to understand, is that we are all connected. That's where that old saying about the flap of a butterfly's wings can cause, I don't know, a tsunami or a typhoon or something in the opposite end of the world. Because that butterfly is connected to every other single particle or wave of energy in this universe. And so are our actions connected to every other single wave of energy and molecule out there. So that's the first thing I want you to understand, is that we are all connected, and we're all made up of energy and the exact same energy. Just the potential that's different. And that's the second part I want you to understand, is that energy, every single wave of energy has potential. So it's always potential energy. And that potential of each wave of energy can shift and change and move, but it will always have potential. Think about this example. If I pick up a brick and I hold this brick in the air, that brick's got potential because it's got weight, because it's heavy. Gravity's pulling it down. So as soon as I drop that brick, I create kinetic energy, thermal energy when it hits the ground, whatever other form of energy. So the brick, the condense molecules or waves of energy contained within that brick has got potential. It can cause an effect on something else. But in order to pick up that brick, I have to expel some of my own energy to pick it up. So in other words, if I was not alive, I would not be able to hold that brick. So I would need to eat some food, take in oxygen, take in water in order to get the energy to expel that energy to pick up that brick. Now imagine I take that brick and I put a coconut below it, and I drop it to break open the coconut, to crack it open so that I can consume the insides of the coconut to give me more energy. So I had to expel energy from myself to lift the brick, to crack the coconut, which the coconut needs. The coconut cannot just be cracked open by itself. So it needs the energy from the brick to crack it open so that I can consume that again to replenish that energy that I just used. Now that's just a simple example of how the transfer of energy is constant. But energy is always transferring from one point to another, condensing at one time in space, and then collapsing at one time, breaking apart. Think about a piece of paper. That's a condensed piece of energy that's got potential. It can create heat through fire, so you can set it alight. And then that condensed energy is broken apart into heat, thermal energy, and other forms of energy. But it's always got potential. It's always in a state of potential energy. So that potential can only be transferred, but it can never be lost. It can be broken apart and form different parts of energy or potential energy, but it can never lose its potential. So all energy particles will always have the potential. So that's the second part that I need you to understand. Now the third part is that there are laws in the universe, like the law of attraction, the law of gravity. There's a law of energy. And the law of energy states that energy throughout the universe always needs to be in equilibrium. It needs to be balanced. In other words, you cannot take energy from one space in time and bring it into your reality without filling that energy or that gap with another form of energy. It always needs to be balanced. So if you take energy from one side, it needs to be replaced by the equal amounts of energy. Take my hand as an example. If I hold up my hand right here, my hand's got potential. Whatever that potential is, it can either grip something, it can lift something, I can set it alight and create fire, or whatever the case might be. But it's got potential, different forms of potential. But in order to move my hand, so here's the empty space. In order to move my hand into this empty space, I had to get rid of my hand that side. And in order for my hand to move to this side, I had to get rid of the empty space. Where my hand is right now, there used to be, let's call it empty space, although it consists of energy, but it's got empty space. So I had to now get rid of the empty space to place my hand right there. And where my hand used to be, I created now empty space. In other words, my hand cannot be here, and I move my hand 6 inches to the right, but yet have my hand remain in that same spot. That cannot work. It's not part of the laws of the universe. So the universe states that for one form of energy to move, it has to be replaced with another form of energy of equal amount, of equal value. In other words, whatever you collect in your life has potential. It's got energy. It consists of energy and potential energy. Now think of let's call it $1 million. Let's say you want to manifest $1 million, because that's the golden figure that everybody always wants if you've never done it before, or if you've never had that much money before. So let's assume you want $1 million. That $1 million is now sitting somewhere else. Somebody else accumulated that $1 million. They expelled their own energy. Whether that is $1 million sitting with one person or $1 sitting with 1 million people, but now you want to bring that into your space, into your life. But you cannot do that without making space for that money to come in, and without replacing that money with the equal amount of energy. And energy can consist of anything. So energy is not only money, energy is anything. So energy is even an emotion. Now, take this simple example. Let's say you go to a comedy show and you pay an entry fee, $50 or whatever. What you're getting in return is not something tangible, but it's the enjoyment, the entertainment of the stand-up comedian. In other words, you have now done your job, or went to work, did your job, got the money, but then got rid of that money. You exchanged that money for entertainment. So the entertainment that you got from the comedy show was in equal amount to the $50 that you spent. Now the universe will always auto-correct. It will always balance out. So you don't need to know what the value of that comedy show is. You don't need to know exactly how much potential $1 million have. All you need to know is consciously, more or less, what value that $1 million have. So, in other words, you need to figure out what it is that you want to manifest, and then think to yourself, how much energy does that consist of? And what do I need to get rid of? How can I make space for that $1 million to come into my life? And how can I replace that $1 million with something of equal value, of equal amounts of potential energy? In other words, let's take the example of the comedy show. If I have $50 with me, how much good can I do, or how much effect can I have on the world with that $50? The same amount as me giving it to the comedian or paying the comedy show, getting that enjoyment in the form of an emotion, and then me being in a better state will have a profound impact on the people around me. How I treat them, how I engage with them and interact with them. We don't always see the value of everything because it's not our jobs to know. We just need to know the concept of it, the rules and the laws behind it, that one form of energy needs to be replaced with another form of energy. You need to make space for it. Take this example. Take again a body of water, and you want to now dig a hole in that body of water. You cannot dig a hole in water. Think about it. You cannot. As soon as you scoop up a bucket of water, that hole would have been replaced with other water. It would have leveled out. And you can, in the same way, you can also not stack water. So you cannot take a bucket of water, scoop up a bucket of water and stack it on top of some other water. It will dissipate. It will even out. That's why water is always flat, because it's all connected and it needs to balance out. That's how the universe works. That's how the law of the universe, or the law of energy works. It always needs to be balanced out. So you cannot take something from somewhere and leave an empty void. It needs to be replaced by something else. So the next time you think about the thing that you want to manifest, if you want to manifest $1 million, or you want to manifest a relationship, you want to manifest good health, or whatever it is that you want to manifest, comment below and tell me what it is that you want to manifest. And then think logically, consciously, about what you believe that thing that you want is worth to you in in the form of energy. How much energy, how much potential energy is that worth to you, or to the universe rather? Because if you now attract $1 million into your life, how much can you do with that $1 million? What can you do? Quite a bit. And it's because that $1 million got potential. So think about, the next time you think about the thing that you want to manifest, forget about the technique. Think about what you need to replace that energy with, because that's potential. Somebody can do something with that. Think about what the potential is of that energy that you now want to bring into your life. And then think about this. You can never stack water as you can never stack energy. So you need to now replace, first of all, replace that $1 million with something else of similar energy value. And then for you to bring that into your life, you need to get rid of enough energy. You need to make space, create a space for that $1 million to come into your life. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, but if I don't have anything to offer, if I don't have anything, then how can I exchange something of similar value to that $1 million? Now, here's the interesting part, is that energy comes from thought. So if you have the ability to think, then you've got all the energy locked up in your mind. So what you need to do is you need to think about how I'm going to replace that energy. And through thinking, that's where the whole law of attraction comes in, is through thinking you are creating. So if you've got the ability to think, you can think an endless amount of thoughts, unlimitedly. So if you have the ability to think about something, you have the ability to create. And if you've got the ability to create, you can create enough energy, because again, and that I'll explain in a follow-up video, but energy, essentially, that wave of energy is nothing more than thought. So that means that you have enough energy, an endless amounts of energy locked up in your mind. All you need to do is think. And as soon as you think, you produce. So you don't need physical objects, you don't need money, you don't need talent, you don't need anything. You literally need the ability to think, to be able to think. And that's the hard part that people don't want to do. Because it's easier to say, I want that $1 million, but I'm not going to put in the effort to think. I'm just going to sit around, visualize, and meditate and hope something happens. But you need to know the concept that you cannot bring in energy into your life without making space for it. Now, that space, what is that space? That is your energy that you expel. So in equal quantity to that $1 million that you want to manifest, you need to expel enough energy from your mind. You need to think enough thoughts through solving problems for somebody else. But expel that energy. Because again, remember, if you weren't alive, you would not be able to think. So it needs energy. You need food source, oxygen, water, etc. to be alive, to be able to think. So that water and food and everything that's sustaining you, that is transferred into another form of energy, which is thinking. And then that thinking is leaving your body, going to somewhere else. But remember, it's a universal law that energy has to be replaced. So people might say that, yes, but I might try this idea, I might think of something, I might do something, but then not get the return. But remember, the universe knows exactly what the worth is of the thing that you're doing, of the thought that you have. So if you think something, if you take your time to actually invest and think about something, expelling that energy, it has to be replaced. That bucket of water that you are scooping out has to level out and be replaced with another form of energy. So it's not about how do I manifest, how do I draw that thing that's separate from me into my life. That's not your job. It has to level out. If you make space for it, it will come to you. And here's the interesting part. Whatever you choose to, the energy that you choose to expel is your choice. You can think any thought. You're in control of that thought. So you can control what leaves your body, what leaves your environment, your space, your energy. But you can also control what comes back into you. But it has to. That's the whole law, is it has to be replaced. You have control about what leaves and what comes in, but it has to come in. If you take energy away from you, it has to be replaced with another form of energy. That's just the law. That's why if you think negative stuff comes back to you, because you've expelled energy out of your mind, thought about some negative stuff, so it has to be replaced. That energy that you've expelled has to be replaced by another form of energy. And that's why bad things happen. But it has to, but you have the choice. As you have the choice to think, to decide what leaves, you have the choice to think, to decide what comes in. Here's an example. You might solve a problem for somebody, but instead of charging them money for it, all you require is friendship. But that friendship is a form of energy. But you can decide whether you want the recognition, the friendship, the actual money. It's up to you, but it has to be replaced. You cannot expel energy. And that's where people always talk about charity. And they say, I'm doing charity. But charity does not exist because you are receiving something in return. And you might say, but you might have given $10 to a homeless person at one stage and didn't receive anything in return. But you did. Because remember, even an emotion is energy. Now, you might have received the gratitude for your own life and everything that you've got by observing that homeless person, or you might have received the joy of seeing that person happy and grateful for the money that you've given. But there was a transaction. You gave the money and you received that emotional effect of it, because that's got an energetic charge to it. It's not empty. So everything has to be replaced. So I want you to think about this. I want you to have this concept in your mind, this law of the universe, that energy has to be replaced. You cannot get something for nothing. So think about the thing that you want to manifest. Think about what you believe consciously that is worth. How much potential does that have? Now, you might not know exactly the amount of potential that one coconut has or $1 million have, but you would know more or less what that is worth to you, what potential it can offer to you. And then think about how much energy you need to expel out of your energetic field, out of your body, in order to make space for that new energy to come into your life. Because you cannot just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. The reason being is you've already got everything that you've ever wanted locked up in your mind through the ability to think. So there is no space for the $1 million. There is no space for the good relationship. Think about this. I'm going to use a relationship as an example. If you want to manifest a relationship and you want to bring that good person into your life, that's treating you well, that's looking after you, that's making you laugh, that's caring for you, what needs to happen? Because that's energy coming from that person. So what needs to happen is you need to make space for that energy, because you are now filled up to the ability to think. You are filled up. There's no space for that. So you need to expel energy. And that's why you need to think about, okay, what can I do in return for this person? How can I get rid of some energy to draw this energy into my life? Money's the same. I want to draw in the $1 million. What do I need to get rid of? But you have to get rid of something. It's the universal law. It works. It can only work that way. You cannot just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. So again, this example, how can people make more money? How can you make 1 million and then 2 million and 3 and 4 and 10 and hundreds and billions? It's because the amount of energy that person is losing is in equal amount to the money that they are receiving. So think about the top guys, Elon Musk. How much energy is he investing for the money that's coming in? How many people's problems is he solving in order to make space for the money that's being returned to him? So just think about that. Think about the amount of, think about the money or the thing that you want to manifest. Think what that is worth, how much potential that's got, and then think about what you need to get rid of in order to bring that money back into your life. Thank you for watching. If you've watched up until now, thank you so much for watching. Keep well, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one.